The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on February 25th, 2025.
It is 7:06, and it is time for the Chamber of Commerce show with Pam Toompap. Pam, how are you today?
I don't know if you can hear me over the music, but I am doing great and hope you're having a great day as well. And welcome to all of our listeners. I am Pamela Toompap, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, and we're thrilled you could join us today for the Business Matters radio show. It's going to be a wonderful morning. We're going to speak with Representative Elle Cochran and talk about the challenges we face with the current situation over federal funding, how it will impact Maui's recovery, and what it means for small business owners. And then we're going to share with you what's coming up on March 29th with our annual fundraiser, Biz Mix Maui. And if you're a small business owner, you'll want to participate in this great event, as well as many large businesses come and support the organization and support small businesses through this great program. But let me first introduce you to Elle Cochran, of course, very well known in Maui. We're honored to have her as our guest today. She has been a steadfast advocate for the people of Maui. She is a founder of the Save Honolulu Coalition. She serves Hawaii's 12th district and has long been a champion for environmental protection, sustainable development, and community-driven policy. She was a former Maui County Council member, and she has built a reputation for standing up for local residents, fighting for clean energy initiatives, responsible tourism and development, and protecting Hawaii's valued natural resources, from advocating for climate resilience to ensuring Maui's unique cultural and environmental heritage is preserved for future generations. Representative Cochran has been at the forefront of some of the most critical issues facing the islands today. Good morning, Elle. How are you this morning?
Phew, good morning, Pam. You said that all in one breath. Thank you. Looking for the, detailed introduction there, but thank you so much.
Well,
and happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think you mentioned District 12, but it's House District 14. Newly created House District 14. Yeah, it was, I think, 10 when Angus had it, and now it's 14. But anyway.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. Yes, I did mention 12. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They've been doing some reorganization, and I appreciate that.
Sure.
We're so thrilled to have you on this morning. There are so many things going on, not only locally, but of course federally, that are impacting, our outlook for the future. Can you tell us a little bit? We're all watching, every night's the news as we hear different things about what's happening with the federal government, how it's going to impact federal funding. How has it impacted some of the plans that you and others were looking towards for 2025? And, what are some of your long-term concerns with what we're seeing at the federal level regarding funding, especially for crisis areas?
Right. Well, I guess maybe my thought process may be a little different from what you're seeing in the news and what have you. I'm moving forward, cautiously optimistic. I'll put it that way. I have been really reaching out to the newly elected Trump administration on every level possible. I'm trying to build bridges and create relationships to be at that table of discussion and to highlight what our challenges are, right? And not just take, he's bringing down a hammer, he's cutting here, cutting there, and how's that going to affect us? Well, I'd like to explain that, yes, it would be detrimental, but here's, what the importance our priorities are. And I don't think that we're asking astronomical things, and lessons learned from Lahaina, looking forward for LA and other places of disaster recovery. So I think, just generally bigger picture, I'm not looking at doom and gloom whatsoever. And yeah, it's on the things are on the chopping block, but it hasn't technically happened. And so I believe, statements have been made and changes have been made also to address it and to, back up and backtrack from it. So that's kind of how I'm looking at things, is to, have that discussion.
I think that's critically important. And again, when it comes to things like this, you need a seat at the table. I know in many cases we're watching, very, very bold initiatives, but also it seems like some of this is something that is used in negotiation. He's negotiating different scenarios. But, so at this point, I know that, for example, the Maui Humane Society was on the news and some of their funding already with some of the people they had hired after the wildfires to help with some work, and continuing work that is needed has dwindled. So have you seen any impact towards any of the programs in Lahaina right now? And who are some of the major people within his cabinet that you're reaching out to in building those bridges?
Well, first off, I think everything is so new, and I'm at a national convention here with the building trades, and I'm asking them this specific question with tariffs. How's it going to affect pricing? And majority of them are saying, yeah, it will, but it's really way too early, too soon to make that judgment yet. So I've spoken to one company in Big Island, and he said because his prices are so low and just the dynamics of his manufacturer and things, that he doesn't foresee a big jump like what people are thinking will happen. So far, I'm not really hearing that huge negative impacts. But so the Trump administration is creating a recovery review task force, like reviewing, how FEMA had responded and things. So I've put in multiple letters to all the different directors in different departments and to Trump himself to get consideration to be put onto the task force, because I really believe that places like Elle and other, places that have gone through disasters can kind of have lessons learned from us in Lahaina. We are rolling up, this year will make 2 years in August that we've been through what we have, and here's the recovery efforts and the shortfalls and, the highs and the lows of it, but definitely room for improvement and reform for FEMA and Army Corps, different federal agencies, the SBA. And so that's kind of, where I'm at, and just putting out all feelers and things, and meeting and greeting many people who are in high-level cabinet friends of the cabinet people and stuff of that nature. So just sort of, Kelsey been putting some messages out to Kelsey. I know she's super busy too, but so yeah, just I guess kind of the shotgun approach and just putting out a lot of referrals and letters and emails and all sorts of stuff to see what might stick. Just so I can be again that that voice and seat at the table.
Well, I love all of that, and I especially appreciate you saying, look, we have experience here, and we'd love to have a seat, on the task force. Let us help you share, because we've been watching what's been going on in California. It just seems like, oh my goodness, all the same conditions were the conditions we were dealing with. They're dealing with the same thing, and thankfully without the same loss of life, but still massive scale. And I think you're making
Yeah, so lessons learned, right? I mean, one of the first people I called after the fire, I gave a shout out to former mayor of Kauai County, Joanne Yukimura. I thought, you know what? Yeah. They had to rebuild an entire island. Not just the town, but the whole island. And really what my takeaway with her discussion, was that the planning department she had set up there, Peter, and I had called him, see, he has his own consultant firm now, on what did they do? And really, they jumped headfirst in and just got permits moving, and I know fire is different from hurricane, but still, people lost homes, people lost, businesses, and they got them back on their feet as quick as they could. And that's what I'm like, okay, here we are, let's get moving, for permitting in Lahaina specifically. So,
well, I wholeheartedly agree. And actually, I haven't talked to her, but I've talked to, folks, also Senate President Cochran, as well as others that I was referred to that were on her team, that were doing that expediting work. Well, and they got on it. They rallied a group of people and they dug in quickly, and they got on it. And that's what, we're still looking at some of these same solutions, that we need to get on it and move forward expeditiously.
Yeah, I have been saying that. So the reason I want to bring home resources and connections and information, because I think the rebuilding and recovery is an opportunity. It's this very sad situation we're in, but I want to turn it into a point of opportunities and to build back better, right? Smarter and build for the future and things of that nature. So definitely been learning a lot, getting a ton of resources here. So I'm excited to come home to bring what I've learned and those connections and resources.
Well, that's very important. And, this is the way forward. And as you said, through tragedy, there are new opportunities that do come about. And we've been watching Lahaina and we've been watching what's going on in LA. And I think as you watch LA, that positivity for moving forward, right? They've gone through this tragedy, but they're finding great ways to unite. And I'm really excited that you're building that bridge on Malin.
Yeah, I am. I'm really trying to.
But you are, and and it takes reaching out, and it takes. I think this is a time where people really understanding the dynamics of Maui's economy and how reliant we are on the visitor industry. Always looking for diversification and looking for regenerative tourism, and we were moving in that direction, but understanding that while we build forward and build in new ways, right? And again, it's those broader connections and alliances that are really going to help us move forward.
Well, So I've always wondered why. I mean, recovery and rebuilding, Lahaina, like bringing back the goose that laid those golden eggs for all of us. It's like, I don't know what part of, if we expedite that, economy comes back, people's lives, their jobs, and, all of that. Yes, tourism will come. But, for me, it's about keeping one Lahaina family home in Lahaina, one Lahaina business reopened in Lahaina. And so the bills, to exempt from FMA and what have you, totally supportive of that. And we just need to do something, right? To just remove a roadblock here or there so people can build that. And that's all I wanted to see at the end of the day. And it's been so slow going and frustrating. And I hear it with our businesses in particular. 900 employee jobs were lost from Lahaina Harbor itself. And what a little jewel of Lahaina that was and can be. And, and that has a lot to do with state. So just trying to move it, forward as quick as I can. But I'm just, one voice here.
So we are here. We align with you and we are advocating.
Thank you.
Well,
appreciate that.
We are in lockstep with everything you're saying. We are doing the same things. And it's as you say, it's a huge challenge. And then you look for every little flicker of opportunity you can. But let's go back to that harbor, because again, some of these are federal issues, as you point out, but some of these are state issues and of course county issues when we're talking permitting. But let's talk about 900 of jobs just lost for those who are working in Lahaina Harbor. Yes, I don't think a lot of people have heard that number, but it is a big and true number. Can you share any work that's happening on the state level? Because, there's this issue over dredging, and then, of course, people are saying, well, it has been dredged. The Army Corps of Engineers had to come in and remove all the salts, which essentially was a dredging. And I know Tony Davis of the A3H was on, the Activities Association, and talked about in the early days, they used Tahitian tie-up to tie up the boat. And that always worked. But looking for alternate solutions.
Right. So 99 boats we lost, and I get that equated to like 900 jobs and employees. collectively. So our Army Corps, Coast Guard had gone in and removed all the big parts, right? The sunken vessels and all that. But what left down below in the actual sand, the seafloor, kind of like, the toxic soil that got removed from the house site. Same thing, but just underwater here, So that still needs to be cleaned further. And then, of course, the channel has always been a dredging issue with Mala, with Lahaina Harbor. So those things, and there is money. Mala's moving forward, but for Lahaina, there was already funding before the fire, right, to do the electrical upgrades and the boardwalk, the piers type of thing. So those, as I understand, last I spoke to Megan Sack, who's now the director of DOBOR, Department of Voting and Recreation. That there's movement, there's funding, yays, because that's got to happen. And I know there's more ask for funding in this upcoming budget with the state, and of course very supportive, wherever we can get that. So I think Lahaina Harbor has some movement forward. But then when I talk about this, I hear from your families, right, that also live on the shoreline. I mean, Lahaina Harbor's a harbor. But they're like, so how are they going forward with that? But yet we can't get permits for our shoreline home. Wait, how does that? I hear you. And there's just all these things, right? So many moving parts. And one thing's good here, but if someone else is like, well, what about us? I mean, I look at Lahaina Shores every night, and people are back in there living. Units are being sold right now. But, I got a single family home across the street. Can't get permits to rebuild their home. What is up with that picture? So I'm just trying to put the pieces together and figuring out, again, at the end of the day, how can we put back our businesses? How can we get our Lahaina family back in Lahaina on their family land and home?
Yeah. Well, that's really the critical thing that we all want. I mean, they have suffered long enough. It's been a long time. We are mired in planning, and we're mired in a lot of things, but we need the urgent action to show people that we've done and it's time to do that.
Go ahead, Ellie. No, that's why I want to keep the hope going, right? I want to keep some type of level of their things are moving forward. Really, really, community. Don't give up. Don't leave, because we've had too many already. So that's all I want to do, is just keep the summary of hope going. But
yeah, and it's well, and progress does that. On this team, I keep talking about it. We need trackers. We need something that shows people the progress being made, and also to continue to hear where they feel, okay, we haven't touched the points on that are critical to me. And these are the things that are driving me from having to look at moving or looking at other options. And that kind of takes me to, in addition to the harbor, what are you hearing from the other small businesses, in Lahaina? There's so many. I know with like a 1-year recovery period of people waiting and, giving time to grieve, so many were saying, our families are still out of jobs. People aren't able to work. We're still suffering. And one of the things we were trying to do is dive in with the SCA. We were finding that loans were kind of stuck in portals because people were so stressed even just trying to deal with day to day for their small deficit and hoping their family recovery and their employees recover. We got calls of business that is so concerned trying to find housing for their employees and more. There were these loans that were stuck, so we were trying to unearth and get those loans moving forward and figure out what the problem was in the portal. And apparently after COVID, some of the things tightened on the portal because in some places they saw abuse. So they tightened the portal, which then doesn't work well for the wildfires or any disaster.
Right.
What are some of the things you're hearing from small businesses about the hiccups that they're still facing today, as you say, moving towards 2 years out?
Yeah, well, I think the businesses in Lahaina specifically, right? What is that, Lahaina Recovery Group, were part of Sambra Garrick and the Lahaina Town Action and Snape Patel folks have put gotten the 59, I think, line of business owners. And a lot of them, I think out of 59 or 56 or so, only 6 are not like family-owned lands, family-owned businesses, right? Like generationally owned parcels. And so, again, they want to rebuild. If they just rebuild like for like in the same footprint, don't expand, don't take more resources, none of this has been anybody's fault, then let them go ahead and rebuild. And I totally agree with that. I told them I support you with this. So, and they've been trying. I compliment them in organizing themselves, one. Two, all coming to the table and agreeing, on next step. And then it's the government, it's the county with permitting, it's the state with shoreline, and all the issues that have put a stop on it. And it's like, oh my God, already. So, yeah. But everyone is doing their part and trying really hard. And I'm just so happy to see a unified front, a unified voice and effort. That's what it's going to take.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and on that note, can you talk about, I know that they've been working with you on a bill of legislative session that you were putting forward to help with that.
Right. Yeah. So my bill did not go through. Rep Miyake had put in a very similar bill, and so that one's moving. And I think it's the companion, Troy Hashimoto's from the Senate side. So all good. Hey, let's just make it happen. Whoever, whatever bill moves, then more power to it. And very supportive. So again, at the end of the day, is it going to assist us in rebuilding back our businesses and our families? Then great. That's how I look at it.
Yes, but I absolutely agree. At the end of the day, any vehicle that gets it through and gets it done is critical. But also, I think it's important and having somebody from, the representative from West Maui saying this is important.
Well,
it is critically important.
And what happened, what I heard was that my bill, the two bills were very similar, but mine got county council support, but the other bill got also mayor support. So the one with council and mayor support moved, mine did not. So it is one of them. It is one of them. So moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's very important as we move forward with that. So, and I'm also excited to hear that you're there, at this building industry at Cochran. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, a displaced person from Lahaina had got displaced to Vegas, and he's like, "Hey, Elle, this is national building, conflict. You really need to come." And I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm there." So yeah, I've come here on my own accord, but basically to learn what the latest, greatest things are out there for our community, and for our state as a whole. That really focus on Lahaina to rebuild smarter, better, efficiently, economically, and all of that. And there's wonderful products and businesses here. And lo and behold, the first three booths that I had gone to. Actually, I'm outdoors in the actual model units of all the different buildings, and they're like, we put RFP that with the fire. I'm like, you did? I'm like, wow, this is a great product. And I'm looking at the things, and unfortunately, they just never got any callbacks, and for some reason, and I'm like, oh no. So I'm just gathering information right now, and maybe now we can revisit, what these products are and what's the model, how this can fit into, where we're at today. So maybe days after the fire was just too much, overwhelming for whoever to take a look at all the different proposals. But maybe now we can, with a little more days under our belt and hopefully a little more idea of where we're at and what our needs are, we can revisit these different companies and see if they, still have a good offer for us to take advantage of. So, anyway,
I know that that's true. I can tell you honestly that we brought together a group of developers with FEMA and, tried to work with the county, and also had people meeting with the mayor and talking about what could be done locally, new products available, different options that are very affordable, different options that are very sustainable, meet all the disaster requirements, and we just never really got there. Last year that you're seeing that, and I think it's a critical time to learn about new materials and learn about new opportunities. And although we're trying to say, use our local talent first, let's partner with these groups. Let's, bring in products that are superior. And we've got a great building community, and we've got an aging construction industry that we need to bring, younger people up in the industry. And this was the perfect time to start bringing people in to these careers, being a part of a much needed solution, helping our local family and sustaining them for the long term. And there's products that'll last just for decades.
Oh, yeah. The materials nowadays, just 300 years. But we can train, right? We can train our people, our local people. And I guess the big hurdle early on, and still is, I guess, are the unions saying, you're taking away our job, with these prefab manufactured things, modular homes and what have you. But there's still parts of it where you need that professional, the plumbers, the electricians, and you still need that type of labor to assist. Yeah. And that could be the way of the future. Maybe it's not, nail and 2x4 board, but it's different. But everything else is still needed, right? You got to do the groundwork. There's still so much work to get done on even these prefab things. So, it may be the change you need, and people need work, and Lahaina is going to be an entire construction zone. I mean, it is now, even up outside of Lahaina. But, I'm really looking in the town itself, right, where we have so many of those very challenging layers of the historic district, with the cultural sites and everything. But we need to start thinking about that and rebuilding, but obviously very respectfully, and not turn it into, a big prefab town thing. But, I know we can do it. And I'm just happy to be a part of it and having that beat us a cable.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you're there. And I do want to say, and I'm sure you're seeing those models there too, that some of it is really about the building materials. And I think when people hear like prefab home, or, they have a certain perceptions of what that looks like, and they see these different container homes and things. But nowadays, the material, I've seen so many solutions that look like beautiful houses. Yeah. They're using materials that,
look, quality is there. And there's one I'm looking at, and it's about, survival in a storm, and it's like how to, I haven't gone to the fire proofing desk yet, but I'm going to go check that one out. And there's just so many options out here. The technology, this day and age is awesome. We've got to utilize it. And it doesn't really look and feel of who we are as a culture and our town. We don't have to,
No, so we're not compromising aesthetic.
Yeah. All of this stuff is you can customize it. You can do all sorts of things with it. That's, I think, the beauty, that it's not just, the little cookie cutter thing, which unfortunately our temporary homes look like that. But I guess they're temporary, so it is what it is. But that's up there to drive me nuts to look at. But I mean, it serves a purpose, so it serves a purpose.
Well, and sometimes we need some things for just a point in time. And then, we also have a very large homeless population that needs housing and other things. So there's things that can be repurposed and reused and continue to take care of our community in a broader way. But, I know that the families in Lahaina, they were concerned in the beginning that they were, going to be put in container homes or different things. And as they work to rebuild. Have you seen, one of the things I still am waiting to see, but maybe if it exists, as people are rebuilding in Lahaina, have you seen updated evacuation plans, particularly in the older plantation area where, it was one road, one small tiny road that was really one way? Have you seen a plan that really illuminates how we're going to have to expand roads in that area so we have the appropriate ingress and egress for safety, and what that looks like in terms of maybe having to cut back on kind of areas that are those border that have the frontage on the roadways so that we have adequate access in and out?
Right. Yeah. So important. I did recently, because the Maui recovery.org little text messagey things. I think Josiah Nishi has been asking for potential lots to be bought in order to widen roads for evacuation purposes. And I think probably the Kahua Street, where, we call it Mill Camp, but right behind where the old mill was, the smokestack, in there where he lost the brunt of the people, right? It was just so congested and roads were tiny. I mean, those were back from plantation days when I lived there, right? When they were just little dirt lanes and no way could a fire truck turn around in there and stuff. So I feel that Kahua Street was always slated to have a bypass. Back when I was a council member, chair for infrastructure, I've had multiple discussions about that, to do the Kahua Street bypass. It just never went anywhere, and now here we are. Unfortunately, we would have, saved lives. Should have had been a through road. But I know they're looking into that, and it's key. And also because the transformers, the Miko transformer station that couldn't really technically make the bypass through all the way toward heading south to Dickinson Street, it's gone. So it totally got damaged. It's now fully taken away. It's an open lot now, except for the chain link fence and all that. But it could just be removed, and now that Kahua Street can fully, thoroughly go through how it was always meant to. So I see that as a potential. Okay, Yeah, so I know there's talk, but I'm also seeing there are some homes popping up on some of those side back roads that were tiny to begin with. But I don't know how these homes are. I mean, they're beautiful homes, and I'm happy for people to rebuild. But they're like going straight up to the lot line where there's no room to expand that road now. Again, I'm like, wait, how is this going to work? And two, with that house being that big, there's several bedrooms. I don't know how many to count, but where are they all going to park? On the road. Yeah. During the day, be parking on their property because the property's all out. So I'm just like, I don't know how those are going through right now, but it's sort of, I'm seeing, here we are, we're going to repeat ourselves, Yeah. And so that's why we got to have a really bigger picture plan here before we just start piecemealing and whatever. Because I don't know, at least the Kahua Street area, nothing's been really done yet. So I'm hoping the new purchaser of the property where the old mill was, which was Conify Land Management, I guess it got bought by a company, I'm not sure who it is, but can take some of their land because it's already industrial, right? That side never had homes or driveways. So why not expand that way and have county purchase that easement from them versus take away lot from people, I mean, in the perfect world, I think that would be the better solution. So I'm not sure if that's been discussed, but by all means, I hope to have that discussion with the county, Josiah or Jordan will need or whoever I need to put it on the table to discuss.
Well, I think that's an interesting point, and I wasn't aware of that, but I have the exact same concern that you have. Is we're starting to see some rebuilding, and yet it would seem like before we start, I mean, we don't want to hold up people rebuilding their homes in any way, shape, or form. But in the first year, I feel like we need the focus on re-looking at that area, putting in the evacuation plan overlay before we start boxing ourselves in again.
Right. And that's where that part could be done already, right? Infrastructure, where do we need to upgrade? Trench up the roads. Hey, get easement done, whatever. And then now we're going to get the people back on their land. But again, I'm feeling like there's a piecemeal thing going on, unfortunately. But again, yeah, I don't want to stop somebody from rebuilding and going home, obviously. Right. But let's do it smartly. Let's do it to where we're, like you said, building it back into a box again, like, I don't know.
And allowing or creating home designs or things where we can have, off-street parking in the garage or,
like a designate, not like, parking garage and then you park there and then you walk home or you have a shuttle, like a little golf cart takes you home with your groceries or I don't know. I'm just like, how do we do it because we are limited, right? Our land space is very limited and we have multi-generational people in homes and that's how you can afford mortgages and what have you. So that's the way of our world in Hawaii, and but we need to build to fit that. Right, to fit that paradigm of how we live, and this is just how it goes, and we're, So yeah,
and often we go up. You can build around and up and over your garage.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so you can have a garage.
Park your car. And I say to them now, rooftop for renewable energy and all this other stuff. I mean, there's so much more potential. We, again, build back smarter, right? Build back better with the latest, greatest, whatever we got going on. And so that's what I hope to gain here in the next couple of days, and just see what information I can bring home.
Well, we're excited that you're there and looking into it. I know those conferences. I haven't been to one, but I've heard so many stories. And really phenomenal because they're bringing people from all across the nation to come and attend it. So it's a huge and exciting event. So I'm thrilled that you are getting to be a part of it. And Elle, just as we kind of bring this all together, what do you see as those people who are the bright and shining stars moving us forward in a positive direction and really making a difference at this time? I mean, you mentioned the Chinatown Action Committee has been amazing, but in terms of how we're moving through government and getting to some progress, what do you see as the areas that are just ready for us to continue to pursue and how we can unite to support not only your efforts, but the community's efforts to getting this done quicker, and work with the county and state in a united way? Where can we best be leveraging time and resources to get this going forward?
I think, what Chinatown Action and the businesses did would come together with that solid, unified voice. I mean, kids, way easier said than done, but it's doable because I think, and I know the county puts out the Wednesday meetings and all this, but spending a lot of my time home, and just talking to the people on the ground, right? Face to face. There's just so many different levels of challenges and concerns. And I mean, is it economic? Is it, just the lack of, stability in all levels of your life from no job and, your kids got to live across the island and now your families are split up in these displaced, homes and what have you. I think we have to look at it and just get a reading. Like you said, get a baseline, number on what's needed. So my thought was always that 2,200 properties got damaged. From day one, county has every real property tax, right? Deed, title holder, contact number, everything. We build them for taxes. Call them up. Hi, so-and-so deed holder for tax map key, blah, blah, blah. What's your plan? We know they're owner occupied. We know if they're a business commercial. We know if they were investment property. So let's break it down at how many, and just get a feel. Who's rebuilding? Who's not? Is it insurance issues for you? Is it you didn't have insurance? Is it what? And we did try to address it one at a time, but eventually you'll get a reading of how many right owner builders and how many percentage of those guys just had no insurance. Well, for me, role of government is to take care of our people, whatever that looks like, and just get our, again, I break it down as simply keeping one Lahaina family home and one Lahaina business, we opened in Lahaina. And just
agree.
but walking to each individual, it is a Cape by Cape. Literally, it's Cape by Cape. There's no one size fits all. There never will be. And if I don't think not, and that's why I think this whole piecemeal, willy nilly, something, format is happening, and I just don't get it. And I want to make sure that we get a handle on something now before we get to where we get to that point of no return. And now we're like, oh my God, now look, we're sort of all over the place and nothing meeting with each other, and I don't know. I just don't want to get there. So for Lahaina itself, those Makai side of Highway 30, we have that opportunity now. You got Kuamana people who are trying to rebuild them, and there's a whole contention of issues in there. And then you got the shoreline people, and then you got the businesses, It just, again, right, you got the historic district, 1 and 2. You got, it's just so many moving parts, but we got to start somewhere and organize. I am finally happy to hear that, state is moving forward with their land. Front Street Partner and Lahaina Surf with Halemaho'olu have combined forces to move that forward. But, there was like a couple 300 people at that meeting. So excited to hear. But then they're like, we'll probably get it completed in 2029. Like, what? We can't wait for 2029. So I gotta look and see how can we expedite this? Because they told the group that, we could get permits by the end of this year. Like, why? Why does it have to take that long? It really should not. They already know what you are, what you're planning, and it's for the most neediest people of our community, and we need them back home. And we, the state and government, should be able to just build our own. From day one, we should have been able to do that. And it's just, again, it's been very frustrating, and I don't understand. So just trying to, move our efforts forward as best that I can. And sometimes you gotta just, I was always told by one of our mayors, like, well, you gotta just put it in a pretty little package with a bow on it and then hand it to the government, and they'll go, okay, let's do that. Because all the work's been done and all the, research and I's dotted, T's crossed in a little packaged up bow, package. And I don't know. If that part's got to get done, well, then that part's got to get done. But just, again, I'm trying to move forward.
Well, I so appreciate it. Lahaina was the crown jewel for Maui and for our state. And people, on the state level were shocked to see what impact that had on state budgets, and everybody learned, wow, that, really is an important area. And I know everybody as the state and county are working on it. But as you say, I think we got to get more focus. To your one point, I just want to touch upon this because I totally agree with your perspective on, the county has all this real estate property tax data, and they know all of this because they were calling us at a period of time saying, can you tell us who the owners are of this parcel? Because they found things like valuables or vaults or safes and stuff. We were helping them connect with the owners. But also, FEMA, in terms of like the insurance and things, FEMA are about to collect this so much data. Are they working? How is that being shared with the county and state? Because they were supposed to be assessing, whether people had insurance or not. Did they have enough insurance? Where is all that data that could be used in our recovery to help people moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I have not seen a report of such information. Luke Meyer with the governor's office, he's got like dashboards and data portals and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I had to sit down, and I appreciate him, wanting to talk it all out and stuff, but showing me numbers and graphs and ratios and whatever. But I'm like, this is all great, but you got to remember every one of those numbers is a person. It's a human. Right. It's one of our residents who's going through. I mean, you can't even imagine. And you're like, whoa, we got X amount of numbers here and there. And I'm like, but everyone is a family. Everyone is a live, breathing human being who's struggling right now. And it's just not enough to put them in this category on a graph kind of thing. And it's just, that frustrates me, and so again, right, I feel like I got to just gather information and get things, solutions together and present it and go, listen, here, let's do this. This has got to be done now, to help people. And because I don't know how else, it's like if we talk and I don't know, just nothing materializes, right? And people are just still struggling every day. And I got someone, he still hasn't been able to get rental assistance since the fire. I mean, really? Since it happened.
We're still finding, there's so many people who applied for help, but it got stuck in a portal somewhere. So as you point out, it's not just about the numbers, the level of hand-holding and compassion and listening to where each family, each individual, each business is at is tremendous. We've been flooded, and we're serving everybody who comes to us, whether they're a member or not. This is a disaster. How can we help? Whether it's not a business, it's an individual. We're trying to get them connected with resources because this is a lot of hand-holding for everybody's individual circumstances. And some of these things, obviously, like permitting, can need groups. And we can just simply say, okay, get on with it. We really need to expedite the permitting process. But, let's get on with it. Let's create that evacuation plan and make sure that what we're rebuilding is going to be safe and we've got appropriate access roads, and maybe we're encouraging people to include in their home plan garages and off-street parking. And again, multi-generational families have a lot more parking than, a single-family home. So we've got to look at these different models. Well, Elle, I just want to thank you for being on the show today and all that you're doing. We so appreciate your work. When you get back, and I'll ask Amber to reach out, and we'll set up time to connect. But
I'll share my report of my findings here. That'll be all. I love that. I love that, and I'd like to reach out.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Let's do something with that, and we'll connect you with some of the local developers too. And I say developers, but what I really mean are the contractors who are working in housing development is what I mean by that.
And we ought to join forces, right? We unify, join forces, bring our talents and skills to the table, and make it happen.
That's right.
So let's do that, and I'm looking forward to it.
So me too.
Thank you. All right.
Well, wonderful girlfriend. Thank you, Elle.
Thank you. Aloha. Okay, take care now. Aloha. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
So great to have Elle on the show. She is doing so much for the people of Lahaina. And, as you can hear, there's still so much to be done. And what we need to do is get through the red tape and move positively forward. So on that note, we've been doing a lot of work at the Maui Chamber of Commerce in this arena, working with small businesses, working with federal agencies, trying to help people get needed funding to support their business pivots, rebuilding, finding many different hiccups. And our goal has been to serve all in need. Sometimes we have people who are not, their families, and they're not in business, but they reach out and we connect them to the critical resources that are there to serve them and continue to monitor where people are at. And it's been a big job. But this year, we do an annual fundraiser to help support the work of the Chamber. And that's coming up this March 29th. It's called BizMix Maui, which is our annual party that we do. That's the overarching theme. And every year is a different themed event. And what this does, this fundraising effort, is basically it is funding to support expanded small business support, and helps through a variety of ways supporting where businesses are at, the challenges they face, helping connect them to resources, offering training. What we're looking at is to help keep those businesses alive, keep their employees here on Maui, help them grow and hire new people, and get back to a stable place where their business is able to sustain itself and continue to move forward with growing, and economic development programs that help. This year's theme is Vintage Aloha, and we are going back to a fun event that's a throwback to the 50s and 60s of tourism in Hawaii, but just a vintage aloha theme. And these are some fun and exciting things. So one of the first lineups of our entertainment during our cocktail hour, we're going to have Joe Chi, who was born and raised on the Big Island and learned how to sing Hawaiian songs from his grandmother as early as the age of 2.5 years old. He learned ukulele from her while in elementary school, and later learned the guitar from his father when he got into high school. So he has a variety of musical influence, and he uses that to share contemporary and Renaissance Hawaiian music, but also includes many other styles and genres. And so he also had a band while he was in high school and became known as the Pa'ani Pila, which recorded 3 albums. The 3rd album was nominated for a Nahoku Hano Hano Award in 2022. He moved to Maui in 2009 and continued playing with some friends in some local Maui bands. In 2013, he started performing solo gigs with Lahaina Pizza Company that led to a myriad of solo gigs in West and South Maui. And he has collaborated with 2 other friends to record an album under their former band name, Connie Fire. The album titled Coming Home was nominated for a Nahoku Hano Hano Award in 2018. And besides gigs and solo things at many different arenas, you might also know him from Hawaii State Federal Credit Union, where he works there. So we're thrilled to have Joe be a part of our event. And then we also have Aumakua Maui Productions, Maui's world-famous Polynesian and multicultural entertainment. It's going to be a colorful and delightful production. They have over 30 years of professional production experience, and they will be doing their world-famous Polynesian dance and music spectacular. Honors tradition with modern flair. So they'll be part of our wonderful event, and we look forward to sharing more. And then we will conclude with Nuff Fed as our after party. So after dinner party. So it's going to be great. There'll be opportunities for dancing. Tickets are on sale at mauichamber.com. So we want to thank you all for joining us for Business Matters today. We want to thank our House Representative Elle Cochran for being on the show with us today. So thrilled to have her here, especially calling in from a national conference. And just send blessings and best wishes to you for a beautiful Maui week. And we hope you will join us again next Tuesday or listen to the rebroadcast every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Aloha.